and thank you for joining me on the show today. This is the Now Talks, a collection of inspiring personal stories and leadership lessons from some of the world's most iconic leaders. It is the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. My name is Dr. Tina Allton, and I'm your host for today and the coming weeks. And welcome to another episode of our Now Woman Talks, which is the podcast for every woman in leadership. And this week, I want to really spend time with you, helping you to review your goals. Because we're in December, we're in the last month of the year. Literally, 2023 is almost all gone. So I think it's quite important that we look at crafting what is your leadership path for the new year. And this is really something that I've personally been, sitting down and pondering and pressing in to really check as well for myself. What is my leadership path for the year ahead? And it might be 2024, or some of you might even be looking as far as 2025, and that's okay too. So, what I want us to do this week is really look at some key ideas, some key thoughts, and how are we actually going to apply these practically, in practical sense. What does that look like in terms of its application? And then hopefully provide us with some takeouts that you can take away and think through, and hopefully, create a pathway as far as you being a leader is in the year 2023. 2024, actually, not 2023, 2024. So the first one I want to think about, if you're thinking about, the way forward for you as a leader in the year ahead, I think it's quite important to think about how we dream. Dream big. Are you dreaming, or have you actually stopped dreaming? Because, the truth is, not everything we dream of for or hope for or envisage actually materializes. And sometimes we go through lots of challenges through the year. It can be personal, it can be business, it can be career, it can be anything that can often knock us back and make us feel like, you know what, I can't dream again, or I'm done dreaming again. Or maybe it might be age. I think sometimes when we come to these kind of months, December, which is normally the end of the year, it's quite common that people will sit down and think, the years are going by, the years going really fast, and I'm getting old, or whatever, and therefore we throw our dreams, you know, into the drawer, or we throw them in the gutter, even some people. But I really want to encourage you, as you're looking towards 2024, I really want to encourage you to dream big, right? If you could if you could really name what your dream is, where there is no limits, right? Where there's absolutely nothing can limit you. What is that dream? I want you to sit down and think about, what are your dreams? Maybe, 3 to 5 dreams that you have, not just for the year 2024, but what really are the dreams that is on your heart as you think about a way forward for you as a leader. I want you to write those down. What are the 3 or 4 or 5 or maybe even 10 big, big dreams that you have? And then you also want to think about, okay, you can't just have a dream, you can't just have a goal without actually planning. How am I going to get there, right? So it's like, hey, you want to go on holiday, you got to plan. Are you going to take a train? Are you going to take a plane? There is always a process involved in every dream, every goal. And that process requires a little bit of planning. So plan. How are you going to achieve those dreams? And a good way to plan is what we call SMART goals, setting very, very SMART goals. So something that is specific, measurable, um, and achievable, right? It's going to be relevant and it's going to be time bound. So what are those SMART goals that you're going to set in order to really, really see your dream come to life, in order to allow you to fulfill your dreams? And some of that SMART goals might involve, meeting the right people, for example, that can help you along the path. So if let's say one of the SMART goals is meeting the right people, then you want to plan in networking. Where are you going to go networking, right? And network where the people that you need to meet will be. Okay. The next thing, as you thinking about, creating a pathway for your leadership in the year ahead, is break down barriers. I think it's so true. We all have barriers of some sort, and some may have been ones that we ourselves have created, we ourselves have put together, or maybe societal expectations or cultural expectations. I don't know, but I know for sure that every single person has one, something of some sort, which is a barrier that we've put, in front of us. Now, what are those barriers? What is it that is limiting you in terms of when you think about you being a leader, you as a leader? What is it that is in your way? What is the limiting or limitation that you're facing? And it can be your own thoughts. It could be limiting, beliefs, things you believe. It could be your mindset. If you have a limiting mindset, rather than having a mindset that is positive, that, sees what is possible, right? Or a negative or a fixed mindset, as they call it. So you want to think about those things. Where is these limitations coming from? Where are those barriers coming from? Is it from your mindset? Is it from your actions? Is it from things you believe? Is it from experiences? It doesn't matter where it's coming from. The key thing is you've got to know what are those barriers, where is it coming from, and being willing to actually seek help, whether it's a mentoring, maybe it can be training, additional training that you might need to have. I don't know. But until you sit down and examine it and look for the root cause of it, it's going to be hard to actually remove those barriers, and you'd find that another year would come and you would be in the same situation where you're limited by, barriers that are in front of you. You also want to think about having a spirit or an attitude of generosity, right? You've got to be generous in yourself. Generosity isn't just, oh, I give to charity, or I take my clothes down to the charity shop. No, you've got to be generous in everything, generous in your actions, generous in your words, generous in every aspect of your life that you can think of, right? Who else are you helping? Who else are you helping? Who else are you making a way for? Who else are you creating opportunities for? Right? We have to be generous. So generosity way, way, way goes way beyond giving charity or taking your clothes down to the charity shop. It's in your attitude, it's in your daily habits, it's in your daily actions, it's in everything. Even driving down, driving in the traffic. Are you generous to other people on the road? Right? Maybe your team members, your suppliers, your own family, right? Develop a sense or an attitude that seeks to give to others, seeks to be generous to other people, right? So I want to encourage you, even as you're setting goals and breaking barriers down, all of those things. Remember that generosity makes a way, right? So Look at mentorship. Who can you mentor? Maybe community involvement. What's happening in your community? What is happening in your own neighborhood? Who can you help? Who can you serve? Right? You want to be paying attention to those. Now you also want to have some financial wisdom. So as you look towards the year ahead and making a path, really consider um, financial planning. How have you managed your resources? How have you managed the resources that you have, resources that you had? How have you managed those? How have you stewarded these? Right. So you want to be able to look at those and look at areas where you can minimize your spending or maybe reduce your spending even so that you have some extra cash flow or extra resources. I don't know, only you know. So you want to think about financial wisdom and look at how you're stewarding the resources that you have. So um we've looked at these are possibly, I'm sure there is more than that, more than what I've given you in terms of um, thinking about, what is the pathway for you in 2024? Another one I would add is resilience in the face of adversity. We all go through adversity. We all go through challenges, but you've got to be resilient. That is, you've got to learn how to get back up again, right? You've got to learn, okay, you get knocked down, but you've got to learn how do you get back up on your feet again. And it can you can build your resilience sometimes by reading stories of other people's lives where they've gone through challenges, they've gone through, adversity, they've faced their fears and they've been able to push through. As you're reading these stories, often than not, you will find inspiration, you'll find encouragement, you'll be empowered to be able to find the strength, that inner strength you need in order to build your own resilience, in order to face, all the challenges that may be ahead of you, right? And then you also want to look at change, adapting to change. It's very important. There's this quote I really, really love. It's like nothing happens if nothing, if nothing happens, right? Nothing changes if nothing changes. So if you want to have a different path ahead of you in the year coming, you've got to be adaptable. You've got to be embracing change, right? And embracing change requires great, great, great flexibility. It requires that you are hugely flexible and adaptable and quickly can, you have to be fluid, right? In the face of, let's say, industry changes, let's say technology, it can be consumer needs or customer needs. These are all key important things you've got to know as a leader. What is the needs of my customers or clients? What are their needs? Are they changing? Are they staying the same? What about technology? Technology that perhaps you've been used to or using. Technology, I mean, is advancing in what I feel is like 5-year leaps and bounces. So you want to consider all of those things. You've got to have a change plan. How am I going to change? For example, if the technology that we're using changes or something new comes, how am I going to adapt to that? Right? And um continuous learning. You can't say ever that you have arrived. I think for all of us, it's very important that we're committed to lifelong learning. There's always something you can learn from somebody else's life. There's always something you can learn from, just looking around you. So pay attention, be in the moment, be intentional when people give you the opportunity or the gift of their time. Time is the biggest gift anyone can give you. So when somebody gifts you their time, you want to be mindful of that. You want to be intentional in how you steward that time. What do you use it for? Right? So be committed to learning. And learning isn't just, so I've got to go and get a degree or a master's or a doctorate or anything of that sort. It can be reading books. It can be just being present. It can be, paying attention, speaking to your neighbor. It can be um, you know, looking at maybe even in the grocery. It can happen anywhere and everywhere if only you open your mind and you are intentional about wanting to learn and grow and be committed to your own personal growth, right? So I hope these have been useful. I think it's very important to point out as far as takeouts, that goal setting is quite a very important, crucial step to actualize your leadership potential. If you don't set goals, it's pretty hard to know what is the optimal potential that you have, right? Where how far can you stretch? How quickly and how well can you actually achieve your dreams and goals? And so you want to be setting goals in your life to help you actualize your potential as a leader. It's very important as well that you have resilience to help you to face challenges, face adversities or whatever situation comes. You have to be resilient, and resilience comes as well as we overcome barriers. And that's all very much a part of our journey to being um, a good leader, a transformative leader, or an impactful leader. We must overcome the barriers, and you want to take a stock inventory of your own self. What are the barriers that I'm facing right now? Are these self-imposed, self-inflicted? Are they cultural expectation? Are they what are they? What is the root cause of it? How did these come to be? And then put a plan together and how you're going to overcome those barriers, right? Have wisdom around your finances, your stewardship, how you're stewarding the resources that you have, and having a generous spirit, having a generous attitude in everything you do. Do it from a place of being generous. And then building resilience and confidence is what helps you to be a very strong leader. Um, and you can't really be effective and impactful as a leader if you're not resilient or if you lack confidence. Now, yes, every now and then we all face a situation that's like, your knees are knocking, your confidence may be knocked down, but you have to get up, you have to build back up. Being able to adapt quickly in even very complex situations is super, super important. It's what helps you to keep going. It's what helps you to stay ahead of the curve. It's what really helps you to be effective in your leadership. And be committed to your own personal and continuous learning. It's so crucial. You can't really do away with going a whole year where you're not committed to your own personal growth and development. And have a hopeful outlook, right? Have a heart that is full of hope. Let your outlook on life, your outlook on 2024, carry hope. And that's all for this week. You've been listening to Dr. Tina Allton with the Now Talks, the weekly podcast for women in leadership, brought to you by Nations of Women. All that remains is for me to say have a fantastic week, stay safe, and reach out if you need any help now at nationsofwomen.com. Until next time, enjoy the pursuit of your potential, and remember, now is your time.